Hi, everybody. It's Joe Chaffee on this Sunday evening, Mother's Day, having everybody occupied, so it's a little bit late today. We actually had some severe weather move through parts of northern New Jersey and into New York City and the lower Hudson Valley late this afternoon and this evening. Actually, was one fatality from a tree branch that fell and hit someone in northern New Jersey from it. And we do have some residual showers now in a band that is moving out of New Jersey to the coastal waters, moving southeast. All of this rotating around yesterday's storm, which is sitting in the Gulf of Maine. And by the way, it produced in elevated areas in Massachusetts and in through parts of New Hampshire some fairly significant snows in some places that caused a lot of power outages in some areas. So amazing at this point in the month of May that we're still dealing with these sorts of things. And, I was thinking about the fact that much like what we saw a lot of this winter, that signature of temperatures either shooting up right before it or shooting up right afterward. In this case, it's shooting up right afterward because the block is breaking down. Here's the view on the satellite, this tight little gale center now sitting in the Gulf of Maine. It's going to stall out briefly for the overnight and for the first part of Monday before it starts to inch its way to the northeast. And that's going to allow eventually very warm air to move into the eastern part of the United States. In fact, it's going to get downright hot here. By Thursday, we'll probably see temperatures in the 90s in many locations in New Jersey up to New York City and the Hudson Valley. Even coastal areas will see temperatures get up well into the 80s in some places. And it's a short-lived two-day warm-up because of what the upper air pattern is doing. Now, here's what it looks like at the moment, and you can see the deep trough that's setting up in the western part of the U.S. And this is key because the ridge pop flies up in the east. There's our trough. There's no block, so everything is going to be progressing along from west to east, and that means change and not sitting being trapped into the chilly air masses that we were dealing with all of last week. So as we move it along, the ridge moves into the east. Wednesday and Thursday are going to be the two very warm days. Thursday will be downright hot. Now, right in here, this is Thursday afternoon, right in there, there's a little trough that's swinging through in the jet. You've got this stronger system in the Central Rockies. You've got a stronger trough swinging down around Canada, and a ridge that's out in the Atlantic building up toward Greenland. So that trough is going to put an end to the hot weather after a day. It'll cool off somewhat. We'll get a high build down from the north, and that's going to create a bit of an onshore flow. So that should knock the temperatures down a bit. Now, one of the things that's happening that we're seeing on today's GFS run, if you look back up toward Greenland, and this is now the middle of next week, May 24th. We're going to have to see if this holds form, but there is some semblance of a blocking high trying to build back, and you'll notice that that produces the trough, more troughing in the eastern part of the United States with a ridge back up in the west. Now, this is not like what we saw, what we just went through. The blocking high is right in here, but it's not nearly as strong, but it's strong enough that it is creating troughing in the east here just in time for the Memorial Day weekend. So we're going to have to pay attention to this if this is indeed the case. Now, that blocking high disappears pretty quickly, but you still have higher than normal heights in Greenland and in the North Atlantic. And by the way, you can check out my latest instructional video that I did yesterday that explains the upper air a bit better, so you can be in tune with all this. But basically, higher than normal pressures, warmer air up in the North Atlantic wants to favor troughing in the east, and this is indeed what it does here. If this is going to be real, you've got a bit of a cutoff low that the GFS forms on Memorial Day weekend. Another upper low comes into the western part of the United States, but we're beyond day 10 here, so we have to recognize the fact that this could be model fantasy. So we're going to be watching carefully to see whether this block this little, let's call it a mini block because it's nothing like what we just saw, if that indeed is going to be a feature that we're going to see down the road. So let's take a look now going forward as what we can expect for the coming week. And we know it's going to be that big warm-up. So there's that gale center in the east that pulls out. You can see a new low forms in Colorado and spreads some rain up into the northern plains while another system comes into the Pacific Northwest. So here we have Wednesday and Thursday in the east. Here's Wednesday, and you have the high off the South Atlantic coast, a west-southwest flow from the Great Lakes through all of the East Coast. So this is nothing but warm. And in the meantime, out in the west, in the Northern Rockies, you've got cold air and some snows to deal with, and there's some rain in the plains and moving into the upper Midwest as the next frontal system gets ready. And here's Thursday. And this is where I think, we could see temperatures climbing up above 90. We're at that time of year now. We're almost, moving now on into May 18th here. It doesn't take much to take temperatures up well up into the 80s to near 90 under the right setup, and you're going to have that. And in the meantime, we've got some rain and snow moving up into the Central Rockies, into northern Colorado, into western Nebraska and southern South Dakota. Some rain up into the upper Great Lakes. And then a little front comes through here in the east right there for Thursday night into Friday morning as low pressure starts to develop back over into West Texas. And you've got some snow back here in the Rockies. In the meantime, in the Pacific Northwest, it turns rather quiet. Now going forward, looking at a pretty good severe weather outbreak. By the way, there are going to be several days this week where there could be some severe weather threats across parts of the southern plains. The first one's going to come, there's a marginal risk of severe weather beginning on Tuesday, and we can see it here with what the GFS does. And then again, on Wednesday, a bit of a marginal risk being indicated right and Thursday and Friday as well. And this looks like it could be a more important severe weather outbreak for parts of northeastern Texas on up into Missouri Friday night into Saturday. So we're going to have to watch that carefully as we go forward. And this system, after we cool down a little bit here in the Northeast Friday and Saturday, we have low pressure that goes back up to the lakes. Bit of a warm front gets pinched in here if this is right. So we'll wind up with some showers next weekend, possibly on both weekend days. And, after that, it's going to depend on, that blocking signature, if it shows up or not. That is going to really determine what will happen. It does look like that going into that last week of May, the week of May 22nd, it is going to be cooler than this week will be, given that we are going to see a troughing in the eastern part of the United States, and whether that comes along with some rain for the Memorial Day holiday weekend remains to be seen. Again, at that point, we're like super deep into the long range, so we know that's going to change. All right, so get ready for an interesting week ahead, an early taste of summertime. I'll just finish off tonight with the temperatures, and you can take the whole U.S. view here, doing it quick tonight because it's so late. But here's Wednesday with temperatures into the 80s all the way up. In fact, and look how cold it is out in the west with temperatures in the 30s and 20s. These are Wednesday afternoon temperatures. And you start to see some 90s pop up in Virginia. And then here we are for Thursday with temperatures well up into the 80s to 90 being shown up all the way up into New Hampshire and central New York State. So Thursday's going to be the day where summer hits hard in the east, and it's very cold for this time of year in the west, particularly in the Rockies, on the Central and Northern Rockies. Some very chilly temperatures indeed. Okay, folks, have a great start to your new week. The website posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com, and of course, Angry Ben has New York City covered, nycweathernow.com, weatherlongisland.com for all your latest Long Island weather forecasts. You can download my app and subscribe to my individual forecasts for New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Hudson Valley, Eastern Pennsylvania, and Connecticut. The app is free, and it's just 99 cents a month. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Just hit the little red subscribe button and take a look at those instructional videos because they will help you along going forward as we eventually get back to those wintertime months where it does tend to get very busy. And of course, we've got hurricane season coming up, so it'll give you a broader understanding of what some of the terminology means and how the upper air and the bottom of the atmosphere, how it all works. Have a great rest of what's left of your Sunday, which isn't much, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.